Continuing on with party loyalty, all four of you gentlemen are running under the Republican banner. As a Republican, please share your thoughts on the Republican Party. What kind of candidate do you consider yourself to be?
I am a Ronald Reagan conservative, in the mold of Ronald Reagan, okay? Now, the Republican Party has strayed away from our Christian conservative values. They tend to put up what I call puppet politicians, those who just go along to get along. And I will never be their puppet. My goal is to take back the Republican Party with true conservatives who believe in the Constitution. Let me give you one prime example. My goal is to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education. Okay? Jimmy Carter originally established the U.S. Department of Education. Okay? Ever since then, Ronald Reagan and the Republican Party has fought to eliminate it. But that all changed in the year 2000 when guess who? George Bush was our nominee. He took that right off the table, and you know the first thing he did, elected office, his number one priority, was to pass the No Child Left Behind Act, which single-handedly tripled the size and scope of the U.S. Department, or U.S. federal government's involvement with our local schools. Now, is that conservative? Is that Republican? No. So you better believe I'm going to stand up against it. So because of that, the Republican Party has lost their backbone. They've lost their spine. Okay? And that's why I'm going up there to say, hey, enough is enough. And I'm not going there. I understand. We know the old guard's running the show. Think about it. We just got 88 new Republicans elected. You think things will got better, right? But no, they haven't. Why? Because the old guard is still running the show. We still have the John McCains, the Mitch McConnells, the John Boehners. That is the establishment. Okay? And my goal is to take the people with me to Washington and take it back. That's what I'm going to fight to do as your representative.
Well put. Big agenda. I knew Ronald Reagan. Matter of fact, if you'll go to my website, you'll see Ronald Reagan and I having a chat. And I worked with him on what's better known as Star Wars, SDI. And people ask me about the wars that I've been close to, Korea, Vietnam, and the Cold War. Well, we really won 1 out of 3. So he had some good ideas for certain, and I knew him pretty well. But we don't, what we say on the farm back in the days when they have horses, people don't stay hitched. 2 ladies spoke to me, Don, you and I were over at the library at our meeting, almost a year ago, and say, you guys, all these politicians, they get up there and they say what they're going to do, and when it comes down to fish or cut bait, they're not there. That's the difference, the attitude I take. I mean, I'm telling you where I stand, and you can count on it. You write it down. One thing about Bill Frazier, his word is good. Dan Burton told me, said, Bill, Dan Burton was a congressman for a long time. He said, tell them anything, whatever it takes to get elected, and do what you want to do. I said, Burton, in my book, that's dishonest, and I'm not dishonest. So what I tell you, what's written down in here, term limits, you can write her down. That's what I'm going to do when I go to Washington, and I got the stamina to do it. Now, agencies. Department of Education would be one to get rid of. Department of Energy, Commerce, Interior, and the EPA ought to be defanged, to say the least. Thank you.
I'm going to echo 2 things that Travis said. The Republican Party, I think, in a lot of ways, has lost its conservative and their backbone. And I believe that we need to get back to the conservative. I think that's where the Tea Party has come in and kind of rejuvenated some of that conservative thoughts. I believe we need to get back to the Constitution, and that's what we need to base our beliefs on. Because as long as we follow that, then we'll have no problem with the party. There is a lot of rhinos. That stands for Republican in name only. It's just to get along. And we need to not worry about what the media says about us too, because there's so many that are so scared of what the media is going to write about them. You need to stand up for what you believe, not be wimpy about what you believe. And that's one thing I'm not. Everybody knows me, knows that when I say something, that is it. And I don't worry about what other people think. And I believe that's what we need to do as the Republican Party, because we do need to get back to our conservative values. And we need to remember that. And I can remember the very first president I got to vote for when I was in college was Ronald Reagan, and I think he was a very good conservative, and I like to use him as a role model, because I think his conservative attitude was one too that we could all follow. So that's what I would like to do, and I believe that's where the Republican Party has gone, and I like to see us become more conservative fiscally and socially.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a verse in the good book that says that we need to reason together. And so I want to appeal to your reason for just a moment. And in every debate I've been part of, and I haven't missed one, people have commented to me how much they appreciate the fact that I always do my best to answer the question. I want to ask you a question tonight. If I stood before you and told you how bad you were and how horrible you'd lost your way and how rotten you were, and then said, now come on, I want you to follow me, I'm going to lead, how many of you would follow me? And I'm a Reagan Republican, and yes, I do believe the party has problems. But if I felt like we were hopeless, my faith wouldn't let me run as a Republican. I'd run as an independent. And I mean that with all of my heart. So I do go to Lincoln Day dinners. And I do attend debates. And I do communicate with county chairs. Because my integrity tells me if you're going to run as a Republican, then be part of the party. Now, do we have problems that need fixed? We absolutely do. And I'll do my best to fix them. But I am running as a Republican candidate. Otherwise, I'd run as an independent.
You have one more minute, John.
Oh, I got to stop. That's okay.
Yeah, you got the wrong
I think I've made my point very well. That's all right.
Sorry about that.
You seem to always get close to the next question on me. I don't know how you do it, but you do. This question, the area is in moral integrity. As our congressman, you will be held to a higher standard in both your personal and professional life. As they say in Washington, the cameras will always be on you. How do you define accountability and integrity? Would your legislative decisions reflect those that you serve or your personal convictions on issues?
First again.
Well, number one, again, you're hiring me to be your congressman. And so you're getting to know about my faith and about what I believe. And so I would hope that if you voted for me, that you would do so because you know my number one allegiance must be to Almighty God. My second allegiance will be to my family, to my wife and my 2 sons. My third allegiance will be to the Constitution of the United States and you, my constituents. That will govern, that will motivate and drive how I vote on Capitol Hill. But integrity in business, integrity in life, integrity in how we conduct ourselves on the street is a very important issue. And the only way, a reputation can be destroyed in a moment. People say character is what you know you are. Reputation is what you think you are. But I think it's very important what people are saying about you. And come to Richmond, Indiana, and visit with my constituents and friends, and ask them what kind of a man Don Bates Jr. has been in his community. There's such a lack of integrity on Capitol Hill. Part of it's driven by this, though, ladies and gentlemen. People are tired of rhetoric, and they're ready for results. And we've heard politicians and candidates talk about everything they're going to do, and how many times do they get to Washington and do not accomplish any of that. I'm telling you, it's time that we get past the rhetoric and let's elect people that can go to Washington and accomplish what needs to be accomplished to get our nation back on track. That will prove what kind of integrity a person had that you sent to Washington, D.C.
I too would like to echo what he said. thing, most of all, I am a Christian, and I would hope that if I'm elected, that I would be, people would know that about me. In 2 Timothy, we read some qualifications about elders, and the most important one there is you got to be above reproach. So I think that we need to be above reproach, and there are several different subcategories on how you know if a person's above reproach, and I hope that I would be that way. I think integrity, as far as balancing the two, I would never support anything that goes against my Christian values. It's just not going to happen. I will never go against anything that's patriotic, because I'm also patriotic. And then, at least of all, or most of all, after that, I am a Republican, so I would follow the party after that. I would also hold town hall meetings, because I want to know what the constituents want. So I'd have to balance between the two of what the actual constituents want and ourselves. But I would never support anything that goes against my Christian values. And if I'm put there, you'll know that I'm a Christian, and I would hope that you wouldn't ask me to. So that's where I stand on the balancing between the two.
My Constitution's a little beat up, but it still says what it means and means what it says. I've been married to my wife, or she's been married to me going on 57 years. So I guess she's put up with a lot. I'm not perfect, but we've gotten along. You go up into my part of the country where I grew up and spent the last, all of my life on the farm. There isn't any business that I can't go in several counties around contiguous to Delaware County that I can walk in and get anything I want on credit. And that's been true for the past 50 years. So I don't, carry my religion on my shirt sleeve. I try to practice it and let it be expressed as I live my daily life. And basically that's kind of where I sit. Now, to represent you, like has been said, that you're wanting to hire one of us to go represent you for, in my case, no more than 6 years. And I will be in touch. It's not a very long airplane trip, even in a single-engine airplane from Washington back here. It'd be awful hard for me to move my 200 cows to D.C., so I'm not going to be moving. I'm going to commute. So I will stay in touch. I wish you had an airport a little closer to downtown Lawrenceburg here, but maybe we can work that out. Thank you.